The question that I really want to ask is, what would you do if that happened to you? I mean, Raven is killing it here. Mike Springer says it is something to process. Mike, it is something to process. Can we even wrap our minds around it? I want to be able to wrap my mind around it, because the kicker for me was when the doctor discovered that some of those 17 children went to high school, played sports, and went to college with his kids, and even went to the same church. And you know how we tend to like people who look like us? So you have an affinity for someone. So you might be in a group and someone walks past and they look like you, and you're like, whoa, that person looks like you. Yeah, and you smile at you, look at each other and smile like, hey, yeah, and you become real friendly. And yeah, we kind of look, yeah, we have the same coloring and stuff. But it would never have occurred to you. You just think it's what? Coincidence that human beings, in the family of human faces, we all tend to look alike. It would never occur to you that that's what happened. I could tell you a personal story, but I'm not going to. This is not what this show is about today. So don't question it. I know my brother is probably listening, and I know somewhere along the line he is dying with laughter. And I'm going to get some text messages when this is all over. But so I won't go there. But the truth of the matter is, this is something to think about. And especially, it's coming up to the holiday season. So the marketing campaigns of these ancestor websites are going to be ramped up. And they're coming for you. Yes, you. Look at me. They're coming for you. And you. And they're coming to get your throat. Because they want to collect DNA. Because they want to see, there's some interesting, you have to understand how social scientists are thinking. And scientists in particular. They're going to start thinking, what is it that makes some people, are able to survive certain diseases and some not? Are you listening to me? So be aware of clinical trials that will come out that will say they want to take a random sampling. Because they're going to say, how come some people survive certain diseases and some don't? And then they'll start looking for you. I need to stop going to the doctor, because that's something they keep asking me. How come you don't have this? How come you don't have that person of your color, ethnicity? How come you don't have it? And sometimes they're, that's so unusual. So what if they start collecting data? So you go to the doctor, all of a sudden your doctor says, yeah, we just, you come in for a visit today, because now the doctors are calling you. It's something when your doctors are calling you, reminding you that you need to come in for a visit, for a checkup. That makes it sound helpful that, right? So you go in for a checkup and they say, we're going to run some tests just to make sure that everything is okay. And you're nodding your head going along. Start asking questions. What test? What for? I don't need a test. I didn't tell you I'm worried about anything. Start asking questions. Don't just let them put a needle up in your arm and take your blood out. There's life in the blood. There are all kinds of things in the blood. There is survivability in the blood. Did you know that? When they do your scan, some of you are looking at me like, wow, man, this is too much to think about in an age when we're facing impeachment, inquiry, and all kinds of stuff. You all are shaking your heads like, but this is what you need to pay attention to. Because this is affecting you right here on home turf. Because you might be a healthy specimen according to all the information in your doctor's office. And they want to know why. And the doctor might be accepting funding from some group that is interested in collecting your DNA. Not when you have crazy billionaires running around saying they're going to build another planet and they're going to take people there. Well, which people are they going to take? They're going to build what? They're going to build a super group of humans, right? So they're going to need people to go work for them on that planet. They're not going to be the only ones who inhabit it. They're going to need some security, and they're going to need housekeepers and janitors and cooks and dancers. Let's just put that in there, right? And people who will provide them with sex. So where they think they're going to find the people who can survive that? Y'all are joking this thing out, right? I'll tell you about my brother. No. I don't use those ancestral gimmicks. That's just They're gathering your data. Absolutely. No, I'm not. I can't tell you about my brother until we talk about it. I have to ask his permission. Right? You know what? Maybe I should ask him if he wants to participate. He's so private, he's probably going to say, nah, how could you even think of that, sis? That's probably what he's going to say. I'm making fun of him because he's not here, but he's listening. He says, I heard you today. Right? Right? But think about it. My daughters also listen. That's never good. Trust me. My children, this is them looking at me. What you said today? Is that what you said? Is that what you feel? That's how my children react. So my brother is like, I heard you. And I'm like, okay, was it okay? Kind of, not so sure. You know how men are, this one-liner thing. I'm like, you're killing me with a one-line, right? But just think he's out there. He's listening, so I better not say anything more about it. But seriously, we have to look at this from the perspective that they're going to come looking for us. And this is not, you have to look at how the world is progressing. Look at the age we live in. You sincerely think all this political storm is just a storm? It's a distraction. So you don't focus on what's really going on. You saw recently where they're going to impose tariffs on European goods. So all our Parmesan cheese and our cheeses that we all like to eat, and wine from France and Italy and Spain and Germany, those prices are going to go up. But what is the real issue? The real issue is what the scientists are not reporting. When they have these conferences and scientists go to these conferences, the news media is not covering what comes out of those conferences. That's how come we hear after the fact that another drug pressure pill, I looked it up the other day because it flashed across the alerts on my phone. Another blood pressure pill is on voluntary recall. You know what we're supposed to do? We're supposed to agitate with the FDA. Why is this on voluntary recall? So you don't have to call them anymore. You can call them out on social media, Facebook and Twitter especially. So the FDA is on Twitter. So if you start calling them out, why is another drug pressure pill on voluntary recall? Because it has been found to contain what? The same process, NDMA, which is a known human carcinogen, in other words, cancer. So if you've been taking this pill once a day for 7 days, for 4 years, your likelihood of developing cancer has increased astronomically. It's not sporadic, it's intentional, right? That's what we need to be focused on. But the media is not focused on it. They're focused on the politics because that's what drives ratings. They're not focused on a group of scientists sitting down together and talking. They're focused on climate change, but is that the only thing scientists focus on? They're not focusing on what the genetically modified foods are actually doing to our bodies. They're not focused on why so many women are developing high blood pressure. They tell people that it's a lifestyle, but even in the people who are active and who have eaten well, they're still developing high blood pressure even when they become pregnant. Right? Let me see what folks are saying. My YouTube feed is livened up. Right? Raven says I'm being funny, but seriously, guys, we need to think. We need to become arbiters of our health and govern ourselves accordingly. We need to govern our lives according to a life that's an awareness pattern that says, I have to now protect my biology and my DNA just like I protect my name, date of birth, and social security number. Because believe me, it's not by happenstance. They're collecting the data, and there are people in little white suits in a lab somewhere who are studying your genetic profiles. You think it's a joke? Why do people from this part of the world tend to suffer from this kind of disease and people over this side of the world don't? You think it's a joke. So when you go into the doctor and you fill out these demographic forms, y'all are looking at me like I'm crazy. trust me, I am getting a little worried because I never thought about it within the context like this. I was worried whenever I went to the doctor, and they would ask me questions about, your age, date of birth, where you live, what your race are you, and so on. You would just be like, okay, this is normal. But do you see what has happened? They have what? Normalized this questioning, and we have taken for granted that we're handing over information under HIPAA laws, because that's the law that was designed in 1991 to protect our protected health information, or PHI, right? So we think so, but that's not true. We now know that there are data breaches, people hack stuff, but sometimes they just hand it over in the name of science. That's why you never click on being an organ donor. There's a show on Showtime y'all need to watch. What is it called? Nurse Jackie. You think that's a joke? That's real time. You are healthy, especially you young people. You like clicking on organ donor because you're doing everything to save the planet. The planet is bigger than you, and the planet is going to be here for another 1,000 years. It will just recycle itself. So you donate your organs, and you have a motorcycle accident, and you could be saved, but you go into the hospital and they see where you are an organ donor. They just let you die and call the harvesting place organ transplant people. And they just come and cut your body out and take your organ out. I'm done. Okay, GMOs are bad food. Well, one thing works with the other in the evil theme of things. You have to have things bad to treat, so they keep calling so-called funding to treat, such as HMO. I see what you're saying. HMOs are pimps. I see what you're saying. So the doctors kind of like don't have a choice. They have to kind of join with it. I see that, yeah? But at the same time, though, we have to ask questions. What has happened to us as consumers? We have sat before TV and we have accepted the suggestion that we are stupid and dumb, and that we have not a clue what is happening to our bodies, and we don't know anything. And the people who know, they know more than we do. And we just sit there like, no, I don't know anything. And we have allowed that messaging to commandeer our thinking, so that we don't employ our own objective thinking anymore. We are subjective because we're thinking about ourselves, but we don't think about ourselves objectively. Now, why would my doctor want more blood from me? Why is she so concerned about my propensity to develop a disease that I probably won't develop because of lifestyle change? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? So we don't think objectively, because the doctor makes it subjective. It's about you and the people you were born to, what you look like, what you sound like, where you come from, the people you're related to, and you sit there. And then, of course, you have the other messaging coming from the ads on TV that says, you want to be a part of this movement. This movement is filled with hipsters like you. This movement is filled with progressive people like you. You want to know where you come from. What if you're a descendant of the Queen of England? No. So we all buy into this stuff. And before you know it, Mike and Raven and all of you, guess what? You're it. I'm sorry. Am I the bearer of bad news? I am the bearer of awareness. That's how I like to look at it. Because just like you, this shocked me. So I wanted to ask all my guy friends who went to college, I want to find out which one of you went down to a sperm bank. And you might have little people looking just like you walking around. I just want to know. All right. So Mike is saying the government let these drug companies put out these untested drugs that they know will cause these effects on cancers. Yes? And Raven says she hates taking drugs, but you have to. It's never a walk in the park for any of us. But do you see what I'm saying, folks? Do you see what I'm saying? So you have to be. So when you look at it, then what it's telling you is that If you don't have an organized methodology to your thinking, and if you're not aware, like the rest of us, you're going to be duped, right? You're going to go in and think, well, I don't have a choice, because that's how you're going to feel when the show is over. You're going to say to yourself, well, they're kind of in charge, and I don't have a choice. Man, that's the way the system is. I don't have a choice, do I? I can't even control the way they think. That's how you are messaged, and that's how they want you to think. That's literally what they want you to think. They want you to think you're powerless and helpless. So the next time they run an ad on TV that says y'all need to go line up and go give blood because the whole country is running out of blood, you'll all say, yes, come take all the blood you want out of my veins because these poor people need it. Yes, come and take it. Yes, I trust you. Take all the blood, take my DNA samples. You can even tap my brain if you want to, because I really don't need it. Don't laugh, but it is what it is. So take cover and take power. When you go to the doctor, write down lists. And make a list. You have a notepad in your phone, make a list and ask questions. Think about the questions you want to ask. Focus on you. The day before you go to the doctor, 2 days before, a week before, when you're in your quiet time, take control. And can I just be honest with you? For some months now, I've been saying when you go to bed at night, turn your TV off 20 minutes before. And I am someone who all my life have lived with a TV in a bedroom. I can't remember a time in my existence when I did not have a television set in my bedroom. Well, yesterday that came to an end. I removed the TV out of my bedroom and my children are in shell shock. Like, I can't believe you did that. You're going to regret it. You're going to want a TV. But guess what? Last night I slept without it. And it didn't occur to me to turn it on. I found myself saying, you know what this does? It gives me more time to read before I go to bed. Something I haven't done much of, but something that I wanted to resume because I would read and watch TV at the same time. So it gives you time to do what? Think. So as you lay in bed before you fall asleep, your mind suddenly gets clear. And it's almost like you're observing yourself. So you are observing your mind. You're observing the thoughts that go across your mind. Because there are literally hundreds of thoughts going across your mind. It's not racing, but you're thinking. And then you pick one and you say, whoa, stop right there. You start investigating that thought. Before you know it, you grab a notepad and you start making notes. Before you go to the doctor, employ that process. Start thinking. And if you have children who are off school age, off college age, make sure. And another thing, this just came to my mind. Men who have sex with multiple partners, what do you do with a condom? Who has control of the condom? I'm asking men. I'm going to ask you again. Who has control of the condom? I heard a story some years ago. I'm sure you all can remember this. A football player, his girlfriend, a girl he was dating, she took her best friend with her to his house. And when he had sex with her, the girlfriend dumped the condom in the bathroom, and the best friend went and took the condom and used the turkey baster to insert it in herself and created a baby. And then he was now liable, and he was trying to sue her to take control of the baby. It was either a basketball player or a football player. So once again, men, who has control of the condom when you have had sex with someone? Do you leave it, or do you stand in the bathroom and make sure it is flushed? Think about that. What you're leaving behind is your DNA. And someone somewhere one day will take your DNA. Not only will they make a baby that you're shackled to for 18 years, but they will make something, they can do something nefarious with it. Think about that. Right? So I want to think about, before I close, I only have a few more minutes, and that's something that we never thought about either. Think about it. Think about it. How many of you men have been duped into fatherhood when you really didn't want to? Because someone took your DNA out of a condom and made you a father. And by law, you are required now to take care of someone for the next 18 years. Complicates your life because now you have to explain to a potential new partner whom you really want to be with how you had a child with someone whom you really don't want to be with. The relationship becomes complicated when the child is involved because the child is the innocent party. But you really don't want to have anything to do with the woman. So you find that you don't even have love for the child. You have to, like the doctor said, you're not emotionally invested. But for this woman, she having sex with you was not for fun. It was simply to produce a child. Guys, you need to take control of that. When you have sex with someone and you use a condom, first of all, if you have multiple partners, you should be using condoms. And if you have sex with someone, you should take control of what's in the condom because that's your DNA. You should look into that. That's how a lot of you guys get caught, right? And then they come to you and tell you they're pregnant. Then you have to go get an abortion, talk about an abortion. All these things leave an emotional trail somewhere that somebody has to deal with. You, right? And it makes you wonder, well, what happens to the children who are born by happenstance? Children who were not planned, who were not thought of or prepared for. Like in this man's case, he had 17 other people whom he says he's not emotionally involved with. The good thing about it is he's responsible. So he had to go to these 17 other people and explain to them that no, you are not a mistake, that I didn't know about you, but now that I know, I do want to become a part of your life if you will have me, if I don't complicate your life. So think about whether you want to be, because there are other people and so many other people who will be a part of this. Can you dig it? He's responsible and have enough social and moral compass in place that he recognizes that I can't just leave them. Now that I know, I can't just leave them out there. Because the way a person is conceived, I think when they were setting up sperm banks years ago, we didn't think it through. It was just a money-making opportunity by others, right? And so women who were vulnerable or who couldn't find a partner or who had delayed getting pregnant, because there was a time when we couldn't work and have children because they fired you and they made it so uncomfortable. People were having multiple abortions. And even most professional women who choose to have children will tell you how incredibly stressful the work environment is that makes the pregnancy so stressful that sometimes the children are born under stress and have issues. So in an earlier time, women delayed having children so they could pursue a career interest that they're interested in, right? So women invariably had to go to a sperm bank because then the available pool of men who would want to get married, they were not interested in getting married, or some of them had chosen to be homosexual. It's not a political fight. We won't go into whether people choose to be homosexual or born homosexual, however you feel about it. So women then had found themselves just kind of like, all right, I have to choose this, right? So they would go to a sperm bank and get some sperm donated, right? So now you have to ask, so now what do you say to a child who wakes up and find out after 30 years that this is how they were conceived? Do you say to them that this affects your personhood? Does that mean you are not a valuable person, or you're not valid? You're not valued? Does that diminish you as a person? These are all questions to contend with, and that's why it becomes not just an ethical question, but it's a human question. It's from the perspective, are you valued? And like the doctor said, he can't begin to imagine himself being invested emotionally. Just by saying that alone is enough for some of the children to say, really, sincerely, you're dismissing me like that? Like you didn't put your sperm in something, dude, and create me? Do you see what I mean? But that's exactly what he's saying. It's beyond his emotional capacity to emotionally be invested in 17 people. And that explains why some men, for some people who have multiple children, why they are not as involved in the children's lives. It's because they can't be emotionally invested. My father said a funny thing years ago. He said that if you don't like the woman, chances are you won't stay with the children. And that apparently is what this has proven, beyond the shadow of a doubt. It has proven that. So, if you have young people, I gotta go. Time is going. If you have young people, gather them together and tell them no matter how strapped for cash you become, do not donate your DNA. I don't care if they're giving you $1,500 or they're really not giving them much money, but to a broke college student, $100 is a lot of money, right? So they're giving them a couple $100 for your DNA for a lifetime, into perpetuity, because human beings, our DNA goes back, thousands of years. Pretty soon they'll be able to collect DNA and tell us when we actually started. It's going to prove the Bible true. You're going to be shocked because they're going to trace it back. Because the DNA they're collecting here in America, they're going to start collecting DNA in Europe, and and Africa, and places that existed. Because remember how we started here in America. Everybody here is an immigrant. This land existed before anybody else came. And people came from other parts of the world. They came over through India, trekked all across Asia into Europe, went to Russia, trekked across Russia through the Bering Straits, trekked all the way through Alaska, Canada, the United States, what is now called the United States, down through Central America and down to the tip of South America. That's how they got here. All those people. So when they start collecting all the DNA from all of us and put it together, they're going to see human journeys, and it is going to be amazing. So a lot of what has been written up in history is going to be disproven, and it's going to be a whole revelation. It's going to be so incredibly revelatory that it is going to challenge and shake established institutions that have tried to explain how we got here and who is who. It's going to shock us all. That is the power of your DNA. So don't just go distributing it and giving it away, because that's what we're doing, all of us. Because we were curious, maybe a little too curious, right? And so somebody else who knew more about this took advantage of what we were curious about, right? It's Friday. Go out and live fearlessly. Have a freaky Friday. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. I appreciate you. Remember, we come back on Sunday and we have our Sunday morning edition. So don't, while you're having your coffee, doing your crossword puzzles and so on, at 10 o'clock Sunday morning is a good time. Raven and Mike, I look forward to seeing you. I know you all don't go to church. So Sunday morning is our little time when we sit down and reflect a little bit on faith and reflect a little bit on the week ahead. Right? So make sure you come and join me Sunday. And of course, we'll be on air all of next week and so on. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Harriet Kemick. This has been Down to Earth. Thanks for joining me. Go to my website, harrietkemick.com, and find out more information about why we are the way we are. Buy my books. They're available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And pray for me that my voice will improve the next time that you hear me. Make sure you download the apps. You are listening, right? Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Tell your friends about it. Share it and tell your friends about it. And you want to tell them about it, right? Be blessed, everybody. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks for being a part of our experience. Thank you so much. See you on Monday. Bye for now. And see you guys on Sunday mornings with Harriet Kemick. Thanks so much.